Felicia doing?
I'm doing great. How are you?
You're always doing great. I was just talking about you earlier. I didn't tell you. I was talking about you, my friend Jen.
Uh-huh.
This my neighbor that she's a nurse practitioner that lives down the street. So I'm
Uh-huh.
coming home and she's going down the street and she's like does the and breaks and backed up because I was standing in front of my house. So we haven't talked in a while.
Yeah. Uh-oh. Did we lose her?
I was talking about you and what I do. I'm gone already?
Yeah, you're back. You were gone for
You
a
hear
little
me?
bit.
Oh, never mind. I was just saying about how you are so soothing and like never stressed and she said that. She said she remembered seeing one of our shows when she was like, that girl is never she never gets shook. She don't ever get shook.
Oh man.
She just laughed. Did you say it's not that serious?
No, I said you're so crazy.
Oh, see, I heard you say it's not that serious, which it's not. It's not. But anyway, welcome everybody.
Welcome.
Yes, welcome. Everybody loves Felicia because of that reason. Oh, yes, thank you. But I love Felicia.
Different reasons, I guess, is what you're saying. Different
reasons. Yes, I have my reasons that I love you. But anyway, tonight we want to talk about hormones and specifically hot mess hormones. Like some of us are more hot mess than others. Apparently, I'm going to be interviewed because I told Felicia, this is on you because you know more than me about hormones. And that is a fact. She knows more than me about it. So I just thought it would be a really good idea to let Felicia take the floor and just check me out, like do a scan from over there.
Are y'all ready for this? Are y'all ready to hear this? I think that you guys are because so many of us are dealing with our hormones. And what's crazy about it is you may be dealing with it and you don't realize it. You're not connecting it up. So that's what this is about. And so you can hear what she has to say and you guys can chime in, answer the questions too, but you're going to be able to hear what Jess is saying. So my first one off the bat, I just asked a group of people about this because we're learning about breast health, which translates to hormone health. All of us are. So do you track your cycle? She's laughing at the first question.
That would be a no. It's so funny. Anytime I go to the doctor, they always ask you that. When was the first day of your last, when I told you I had a mammogram, when was the first day of your last period? I'm like, the first day of my, like, I don't know. I don't know. So, and I never have. And I was even asked to because I had irregular periods for some time with my endometriosis. So I was told to track them. But you know, I don't track nothing. You know, I don't track stuff.
Yeah, you're not a tracker. So yeah. And then Kathy, for those who are post-menopause, I need you to. I mean, you're in menopause. I know they say post-menopause, but I think that's wrong to have women think that they're done with hormones, and that's what that kind of insinuates, don't you think?
Yeah.
No, menopause is it for us, and it's a great time of life, but we need to know we're in it.
Right. So we're still paused.
Yeah, and Kathy, not to pick on you because that is what they call it.
Right.
But it's just a mixture of play on words that kind of messes with people. So I need you to say what you did when you did have a cycle. So anybody that is answering, you guys go ahead and answer your answer. Okay. So I want you to get an app. And I want you to track it. Yes, the app is called FLO. And you can get anyone. When you pull that one up, you can get anyone. But that's the one that I use. And
I already like it.
So yeah, get that. And they have, of course, a paid thing, but you don't need that unless you just want it. And you should be first in line. Like you said, they told you to do it, but you're like, but you know what? They don't tell us on a deep enough level, I don't think. Because I asked this in the group and I was like, I'm gonna say my story. So I'll just say a little bit here. Is that they asked me that every time and I never knew. And I was like, what? I never put it together that is a vital sign. And do you think the doctor said anything when I was like, I don't really, they were like that's just on the form. They did not make it a big deal. And because I didn't have issues, I didn't make it a big deal. So we don't know.
Okay. And I'll tell you from the other end of it, that was not taught to me as that it was that vital. It was just a piece of information you gathered. But when I was in school, it wasn't like, this is a really important piece of information to gather.
Yep. Isn't that sad? That's sad that we don't know.
But it's not.
No, it's not taught. We don't, I just got off the phone with someone who is 32, has not had her cycle since she was 17. And she's been on the shot. She's been on the depot shot since she was 14. So 3 years it took her cycle away, and she's like, I'm not bad about it. That she's gonna pay.
They tried to get me to do that. I will say I did track it very short period of time when they told me I couldn't get pregnant. Mm-hmm. And I told you, I said, watch me.
Oh yeah.
That was the only time that I tracked it. I was like,
somebody told you couldn't do something and you weren't gonna have no baby. You're like, what? A woman will become a mama bear before she's a mama. Like, don't mess with me. Mm-hmm. So I definitely get that. Plenty of women do that. And that's what I put, is that unless you had trouble with fertility, because you don't mess with a woman and her fertility, mm-hmm. then you don't do it. You're not really taught that, or really bad pain and things like that, then you may do it. But so okay. And when I said that the woman I was talking to was going to pay, I didn't mean, this is a person I love, so I didn't mean that in a bad way. I'm just saying you cannot shut your hormones down for the age of 14 to 32 and think there's not going to be any repercussions. So we just need to be clear on that. Okay. Yep, just how it goes. But we're not taught that because, of course, she wants good birth control, so she's trying to be, how do you say it? Proactive about that,
right?
Which makes sense. I get that, but man, okay. So and you already kind of answered this, and you're a medical professional, and you already answered it. But I was going to ask you, what has your doctor told you about hormones? I want you to think. I kind of know the answer, but we're going to go over it anyway. I want you to think before school. You already said you didn't learn it there anyway, but what did your doctor tell you about hormones in your cycle?
I learned what they were, but
exactly.
But the doctor,
yeah,
the doctor never told me about. The only thing, when the only conversation I can remember having about that is after Wesley was born and I was put on the progesterone only. Mm-hmm. And why? I don't even remember why, but I just took it. And then I literally was homicidal. Like, not suicidal. It was Glenn. He was going to die.
He was going down.
Yeah, because I saw him in the street and I was like, I want to run him over. So that was not a good thing. So I looked it up and said, it looked scary because I had that kind of rage. Like, I was like, oh, because he was like, I'm going to the gym and I had a newborn. And I said, you go where? And leaving me with this newborn baby? Like,
yeah.
Why? So, but anyway, the only thing that they said was you need to be on progesterone. And then after that happened, I was like, I need to be off progesterone, please.
And that's a feel-good hormone. So see, it threw something off though.
Yeah. I was feeling not good.
Wow. Okay, so nothing. You didn't learn anything from the doctor. You had that little experience with having to take something they thought after the baby. So you guys answered
the same thing, like you said. It was always ease and convenience. It was always what can we do so that you don't have periods? Since you have painful periods, they wanted to do Lupron, or to put me into menopause. They wanted to give me shots, something that would just for convenience of not having it at all, or having it once every 3 months, but we're just like, so it was all about convenience and for me and having fewer periods.
Yeah.
And it was no talk about hormones themselves.
Okay. You guys answered that too. The question was, oh, and she says, Jessica says, Glenn is up in here. Jessica says, they push IUDs. Yeah, they push, yeah, that's kind of what happens. Okay, so, and we already checked off. You already said what you learned in, I want to know, what did you learn in middle school, high school, depending on wherever you went? What did you learn about your hormones? Do you remember when you took a health class or a sex ed? Do you remember what they talked about? Did you have that little, they give you like, they split the boys and girls, or at least they did in my school, and you have your parents have to sign? Did you do that?
Yeah, I'm trying to remember what they taught us. They taught us about how not to get pregnant.
Girl, you hitting the nail on the head.
I don't remember a lot of talk about like the way somebody was just the other day. One of my good friends actually was telling me that she found a really good video that she showed her daughter who just started her period, 13-year-old.
Mm-hmm.
And she said she was really impressed with the quality of the education on that video. I'm like, well, I need that because I never had that. I'm like, so pass that on to me. She was like, she said she was watching it and she's like, I was learning stuff. It was like, because I never was taught this.
Yep.
And it was, yeah. So didn't talk much about hormones.
It's crazy. Like I was saying in my post today, it's like, I remember being I'm confused because now I've been through my boys taking it and me signing. I don't remember who took what, if it was health, sex, but whatever. I do remember that learning health stuff and learning about the Heimlich maneuver, things like that. But we were all in the same class. We didn't have to be split up.
Right.
Everything that has to do with your hormones, I guess they don't even really use that. It's all about the sex part of it and not having a baby. It's like there is a whole other deal that we need to know about. Yeah, but we don't get told that. That is so, like, it's mind blowing because it's like, are y'all for real? But that's how we've lived. And yeah, Nina, you're like me. That was 40 years ago. Yeah, that's why I can't remember.
It was a long time ago for me too. I'm 44, so like that was a long time ago. That's what I'm trying to remember.
Yeah,
that was 30 years ago. But I do distinctly remember the focus was on not getting pregnant. Yep.
And what happens, and they want to, some of them tell you how sex happens or something, but it's like, there is so much more. That's all you get told about. So that, it shows you why there's a need for us to, a school of life. Mother never talked to me about it. Oh my goodness. Well, and school of life, exactly, because I grew up in a home where I was talked to about it. My boys are like, "Ooh, don't ask mom nothing because she tells you everything." I talked to them about it, but I didn't know anything about hormones and how it affects your health. So we didn't do a sex talk. We talk about it as it comes up. I don't know why everybody thinks they're supposed to just do a talk. So that's a whole separate issue, how you handle that. But I'm talking about the health part of it and the part of what your hormones, what it means. And all of that. If we don't know, how can we tell our kids? And if the school isn't telling them, doctors aren't telling them, who's supposed to tell them? We're just out there flailing until you have a problem. And we can be doing so many things before, and that's what is huge. Okay, so you've already answered some. Okay, so did you know, because I know you know now, so I'm kind of wanting you to think before your medical stuff. Did you know that hormones were, now you know they're connected to everything, but did you know they were connected to your heart health? Like, did you know that?
No.
I don't think most people do. And the reason why I mentioned that specific question is because when I talk about hormones to other women, whether it's on social media or in real life, they're like, oh, I don't have to worry about that anymore because I had a hysterectomy. And I'm like, that's not how that works. That is not how that works. No, you need to worry even more.
That's not how any of this works.
No, it isn't. Or someone says, oh, no, I don't have a thyroid. I'm like, okay, that's not how it works. And so that's the part that we're focused on, not having sex and not getting pregnant. And then how do I get pregnant? And that's it. Everything around it, we're not worried.
And then other than that, it's like, and I don't want to be inconvenienced, whether it's blood and gross stuff and having to deal with that, or whether it's hot flashes, or whatever it is, don't inconvenience me. It's not thinking about my overall health. It's just like, I don't want to be bothered by these hormones.
Yep. Yeah. When I was talking to this person, she's with the one who she's 32, hadn't had a period since she was 17. She had just talked to a friend and said, and the friend said, oh my goodness, I started my period and it's been 4 years. I don't know what to do with this. I want to go back to not.
Yeah, I don't blame her.
Yeah, exactly. It's like you don't even, and now not realizing that this has to do with the migraine you have, or you lose your mind for 6 days of the month, or you have to miss work or whatever stuff, not even connecting it up because no one educates you that way.
Yep.
So yeah.
Ooh.
Crazy. So that's all things to think about. Let me see what else I got on here that I wanted to ask you. Okay, did you know that Black women have fibroids more than others, and what that means?
I did it before my medical training, but are you losing me?
Yeah, you're back.
Okay, because I'm looking at it on Facebook and it's looking okay. Oh yeah, I saw that I froze there. I knew after my medical training, but not before. So that is talk. That is a statistic and a demographic. That is no.
That makes sense because they like to get rid of them with surgery. It bothers you. So that makes sense. And they tell you that, well, you said it. They tell you it's Black women that have more. And do they tell you that that can be estrogen dominance? Do they talk about estrogen dominance?
Mm-mm. I don't remember any. Are you talking about like in school? I don't remember that. Okay. I just know that a lot of the things I'm learning, and the more I'm learning about, we're talking about women and hormones. We're talking about not every single hormone in your body. We're kind of focusing on the hormones that have to do with female, right?
Yep. And some of them we share with men. Right. Some of them we share, but yeah.
But I don't remember, and it's very sad because there is that bias in the patriarchal society, which medicine is very patriarchal. Mm-hmm. So there's that leaning, as we know. That's why we have Viagra and all of these medical breakthroughs so that men can have everything they need to enjoy themselves and
themselves.
Right. And breast, because men are so fixated with breast, breast cancer got the top billing because that was something that men wanted to see, stay around. Yep. So I could see that in medical school and medical training that anything to do with women was definitely not as prominent. Mm-hmm. So much about cardiac health and all the things that men experience, or that men, and then women's stuff definitely was like half time. We'll give you some time, but it's going to be about half as much.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's just now that in the last 10, 20 years that there's more studies and things on women. Even there's so many medications that haven't even been tested on women.
Oh yeah,
you know what I mean? And we're taking them. So yeah, I think, Lisa, that question on menopause at 42, that's interesting. We are going to.
This is my interview, Lisa. We're trying to help me. I'm not this. I'm saying. She didn't say put in there what. She said
Lisa's like, hey.
Answer the question. Nobody's just asking the question. You guys are answering the question. Right.
I have a course that I'm going to pin up that you guys can come and look at. It's 5 days this week, just Monday, today, one post a day through Friday, just to help bring awareness to this situation. And what it all comes back to is your overall health and wellness and supporting all the things. If you're listening to us, or if you have before, then you already know that's what we talk about. So that's what it's. She said she was late. She's like, she didn't know about that. So that's what we talk about.
You know, I'm playing with you.
So I go into what I've learned because I'm in that time of life. So I go into that there. So we'll talk about there, and we'll put the it's a public group. Everyone's welcome. We'll put that up.
Look what Blake said.
What? Who said? Oh, I'm loving this
conversation. I think there's a deeper piece of self-acceptance that is needed for women to work with, and know our body is cleansing, not betraying. There is definitely a stigma that is associated with it. Third world countries, those poor girls, and anyway, I'm loving this conversation too. I'm trying to figure out, where did I go wrong?
Well, I think that I
started. Are you gonna ask me about birth control or no?
Yeah. Yep. So if you, whatever you want to share as far as what did you do as far as birth control, and how did you respond to it?
So I was put on birth control at 16 because I had ovarian cysts. So I had the really painful cyst where I had to go to the emergency room, and one ruptured, a luteal cyst. And so the answer was, let's help regulate these periods by putting her. I didn't start my period until I was 14. And then I started having those horrible cysts and the pain. So I was put on birth control, even though I was not sexually active. So from the time I was 16 until 30, when I decided that I was going to go ahead and I'm going to have a baby. 32 or 33. I was on birth control that whole time.
I did not know that.
All different kinds. One would get discontinued, and then it would go generic, and then I would get migraines and headaches because the medicine wasn't the same. And so I hated being on them. I hated it. But,
now, what was that? Why did you hate it? Because of how you felt, or you started to know that, okay, this isn't right?
It felt like it just feels not right. Like that I'm taking this pill. To me, it just doesn't feel like, why am I taking this pill to tell my body to do something that is like a natural process of my body.
Okay.
That, and then just the trying to remember, and then taking two. If you miss one, you take two, and then you feel weird. And yes, I had side effects that were not pleasant.
Okay. Which for some people, that if they're bad enough and they can't do it, they have to figure it out.
Right.
They have to figure it out if they can't do things. And it's got to be more than just about, I don't want to get pregnant. I don't want to get pregnant. And I'm not acting like that's not an issue that people should think about, because I get that.
Right.
But we have to be like, they just need to know. They get to decide, but people don't even know. And it's hard for a young person, to hear that, I guess. Well, they don't hear it. That's the thing. They don't hear it. They just get told, don't get pregnant, get on, and you're responsible if you take care of it by using contraception. And even people, whether it's moral issues, married and not married, even people that are married and still, if they're like, I'm not ready to have children now, boom, I should take contraception. There's no thought about what is happening with that. You had that intuition of, this doesn't seem right.
Right.
But you weren't told anything to really back up. And people want things regulated. So when you have things, you have endometriosis. So, there's only so much regulation you were going to have. That's a whole separate issue. But people are like having these fake periods. They're not ovulating. They're shutting down their system for years. And then they get married and they work a few years or whatever. And they're like, it's time. And then They try.
Work body. Yeah.
Yeah, and it doesn't happen that way for a lot of people, because that's pretty normal for a lot of people to get on birth control and be on it for so many years if they're trying to do the responsible thing. So I think that people need more education. And for me, going through midlife stuff and things changing, I'm like, wait a minute, wait. I need to see what's going on. So I'm just sharing what I'm learning, because my head explodes when I think no one knows this.
Speaking of that, you guys share this video, please, because Felicia is sharing what she's learning, and that's a really nice thing that she's doing. So if you like what you're hearing, like what Monique said, share this video to your own timeline so that more people can get in on this conversation, because I think it's a really important conversation to have that is not talked about enough. And so please share the conversation, especially since Felicia is offering to give more education this whole week. More people need to know about it and take advantage of it. So share.
Yes.
Share.
Yep. And all ages, because we need to know about it from puberty on. Obviously, hormones are all over our body, so people can have issues with them. But as far as this conversation, women have a cycle, men have hormones too. But what we have to realize, we are not just many men. We have a reproductive cycle. We have another human inside of us. We were created to have a human, whether you want to or not, whether you are or not. That's how we're created. So that is what our body wants to do.
Yep.
So if it's not doing that, not trying to do that, something's off. And it's very connected to our brain health, our heart health, our eyes, our gut health, joints. It's all connected. You cannot separate it out. So,
that's like an aha moment. Go ahead. I don't want to interrupt you. You said
no. You're good, because I can go on for hours. I tried.
Well, you just said something that just made me think, like, that is crazy to think about the fact that we have, like, that is part of the purpose of the way that our body is designed, is to reproduce and to produce, carry that that another person is going to come through your body. And how would you think that shutting that down would not impact you? Like, how did I miss that? Like, it was intuitively that I was feeling that way about taking the pill, but not thinking about it, but just like an intuition, like, just something doesn't feel right to be shutting down the reason that my body.
Yeah.
It's, I don't know. I just had that hit me.
Interesting, huh? I didn't think about it at all. At least you had some intuition. It's like, okay, you don't want to, baby, I'm gonna pop these pills. I was never, like that stretch that you had, I didn't have on it, just because it wasn't because I didn't feel, to be honest, I don't remember why. I think it was because, I don't know why, but I didn't have that long of a stretch that I was on it. You can see 31-year-old, 24-year-old, 17-year-old. So I was kind of hit or miss. And I may have been on something with no, not with Jacoby, maybe with Trey, because that was at the beginning of our marriage. So anyway, Lisa says she's in a world of trouble. Then you're not in trouble. We can only do what we learn, and then we can do better. And that's the only reason why I'm sharing, because it's ridiculous that we do not know that all of this stuff is connected. And the simple way is that, remember that it's all connected. So you have a 16-year-old that is doubled over with cramps and missing school or missing Zoom class or whatever, 2 days out of every month. You need to know that her hormones are not balanced, and she needs help with that. Not just throw Midol and Tylenol or whatever at her, because she needs help with that. And there's some things, some root cause type things that you can do to help that, but we're never told that. So that's my thing. And the other thing is that it's same thing for women. Or if you want to, cuss everybody out 3 days out of the month, and you're like, oh, it's just my time.
It's always about cussing with you. Like, do you have a secret cussing, like, that I don't know about? Like, did you do cussing?
just Jacoby, I told Jacoby the story, and I should have never told him that I didn't grow up cussing. So I got, I got out on my own, and I was like, I'm gonna cuss a little bit. And my roommate said, "You don't even sound right."
He said, "I'm gonna cuss a little bit."
I'm gonna cuss a little bit. She was like, you just stop. She said, it's not coming out right. You just stop. And you get older, you get okay with yourself. So you don't, you do you. But when this last year and a half, when I started dealing with perimenopause, tapped me on the shoulder.
The desire came up again, that cussing.
Yeah, it came up. And I was like, where is that from? Then I knew something is off. Because that's not me. Just like when you wanted to run him over, it's like, wait a minute. Like you literally thought about that and you're like, wait, something's off.
I really did.
Yeah.
I had a picture in my mind, like I saw it happening.
Yeah.
Being put on birth control at 16, there was no conversation about anything else. It was just like, this is what we need to do. Like not any conversation about why I was having the issues, zero. And you would think for a younger, because I feel like when someone's young, you really need to think about that, because now I'm from 16, I've got all this life in front of me that I'm going to need to, but no.
Isn't that something?
Not even a single discussion. No, just like, okay, here's a prescription.
This is what you do. And then it can help. So people can have cystic acne, really terrible. I call them great floods, where they bleed 40 days and 40 nights. And everybody's like, oh man, she had bad periods. And then, finally you got to go to the doctor because you can become anemic. Like there's some issues for that. So people get that and then they get thrown on birth control
and the symptoms do obey. It helps the symptoms.
Exactly, the symptoms. Meanwhile, hormones are being shut down, just switches being turned off.
Yep.
And it's like, you're young, but that's people who have issues with it, they're almost in a better, issues with it. If you're 14 and you try to take it and you're like, this doesn't work, they give you another one, this doesn't work. They're almost in a better situation because they got to figure it out.
Yep.
Because they can't take anything.
Yeah.
So I think, throwing the pill at people, or say your cycle is okay, but you act a stone fool during that time. So where you know what I'm talking about? There's some people that you've either worked with them. If it wasn't you, I said today in the post that I did, some of y'all, your own parents was hiding from you during that time. Your own parents was like, oh, here she come. If you are one of those, or your daughter is one of those, something is off. You can't go from you're like, oh, she's so sweet, and then boom, the devil. You know what I mean? That something is off. So that's where we know to get help instead of just like suffering through it. It hasn't been made a priority for us.
Right.
To suffer through it. And that's not fair. Or you end up on medication, not just pills, but not just medication to control your mood. How serious is that, Jess? Now that's your wheelhouse.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah.
That's serious.
Oh yeah.
And to be put on it when you're 16, 14, and then you can't get off that stuff.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah.
No, I'm all over that.
So we will talk. Nancy asked a little, I think I saw it's gone now, but she asked about how is it connected to gut health? Somebody did. And we'll talk about that, of how it is. It can be some different ways, but people have genetic SNPs that make it connected to that. The food you eat, all of the things that we talk about doing, but now you can connect it up, and that can motivate you to be better about it. So many people are like, yeah, I know all that, but do you really get it?
Right.
Of what's going on? And connecting this up, I think, is important for women because that can help. And no one wants to see their daughter suffer. No one wants that.
No.
So when she hears you say, you know what, you really got to cut out sugar, she might not believe it at 16, but she might at 18.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Let's just be realistic. If she's heard it, but if she has no clue until she's 40 that, oh, you mean I should have.
Right.
When all these things are coming undone because of, what you've done to your body. So,
yeah.
Yep, Nancy, that one. And then there's also ones that people have. I'm guessing Nancy's had genetic testing, has she? You know,
You're asking me like
you know a lot about Nancy, so I'm just thinking. Well, there's all kinds of SNPs. Some of them don't affect you. It doesn't mean you have it, so you're going to have problems. But there's ones that have to do with how you detox your estrogen. That's huge. The metabolites. Okay, so she has. I figured she had.
yeah, right.
So, and there's ones that have to do with that. And there's also ones with your gut dysbiosis. Do you have the right bacteria to process? Because the liver will take care of those hormones, maybe, and then dump it into your colon. But then is everything right there, or does your colon like open the package back up, and then you can't poop it out or whatever? Because we have to poop out dirty hormones, and no one even knows they have dirty hormones. So that is some of the stuff that you can learn about, and then you can learn. What'd you say?
I didn't know I had dirty hormones.
Yeah, those metabolites can be dangerous, and we got to be able to poop and pee them out. And if it's not packaged up right, it won't happen. If your gut isn't right, so that goes back to gut health. So it's like we talk about, everyone's like, yeah, I need gut health. No, you really need gut health.
Yeah, right. And it's not good. Look, so many people's gut health is not right. Gut not healthy.
Yep. And your body has to, Kimberly is like, dirty hormones, question mark. Yeah, your body has to metabolize everything. And if it doesn't go down the right path, then it's dirty. That's what estrogenic cancers are.
Yeah.
So if you're a person that doesn't metabolize well, you have those markers, then you need to know that. And if you've taken genetic testing, but someone has to read that genetic testing, they have to know that. So it's kind of, you can get really deep into all that. We don't have to go there, but I'm just saying, I want you aware. So then when you're looking for a practitioner, then okay, I want them to be able to look at genetic testing, because I already know Nancy already has hers, so she can have someone read it or whatever. Mm-hmm. So extremely low estrogen. Yeah, that's interesting. It's we're all over the map with things.
Oh yeah.
Is that why I have IBS? Oh yeah. And IBS, they throw everything under that when they don't really know. Oh, you're okay, you got IBS, your gut is off.
Yeah, that's a diagnosis.
When did you find out you had endometriosis?
I was 30. Oh, it was a long time before I found out, because to have that diagnosed, you have to have surgery. It has to be visualized from the inside. They have to actually see the lesions and the adhesions. So they could say you probably do. Okay. You have symptoms, you're bleeding heavily, all this pain. A lot of people that have endometriosis have difficulty with intimacy. That's painful. That because there's scar tissue and there's these adhesions that are like holding your uterus in all these funky positions.
Yeah. So your digestive tract too can be all twisted up in there.
Oh yeah, for sure. And it was, and still is. So I went to have a routine pelvic exam, and the gynecologist said, like, I can't move. I'm trying to go in there, and she's palpating with her fingers, and she's like, it's like your uterus is stuck. I can't move it. It's like it's frozen. Yep. She's like, I should be able to get some movement for here, and I've got nothing. And she said, I have a strong feeling that you have endometriosis. And that's when she said, and if you do, it's possible you could never be able to have a baby. And she just went there. So her line of work is she does a lot of surgery. So she's kind of like chalking it up. She's like, let's find out if you have it. Nothing against her. I mean, she did diagnose it
when she's trained.
Right. But she's kind of like, don't you want to know? So let's get you in the OR. And so that's how it was confirmed. So I was about 31 or 32. Because it was not long before I found out I had it and was told that I couldn't have a baby, that I was like, what do I need to do to get, and you know what it was? It was all my diet. It was all nutrition.
Yep.
When I did the research for the first time that I ever looked at anything like that, because I didn't know I was not into natural stuff back then. So I started looking into what I could do, because they told me there was nothing I could do. So I started doing research, and I was like, oh, it's all this diet. It's all about what I eat. And so that's the research I had at that point.
So you were able to, that's good. Well, the thing about it, that people who have endometriosis, they want to give them a hysterectomy, and then they're like, oh, it's in their lungs. Oh, it's in your nose. I mean, those cells can go other places.
Oh, I'm sure it could be. Yeah, those explants, they like to come and travel. They had one was on my appendix when they went in, so they said it was stage 4 because that's the degree of how far these lesions have spread outside. Yeah, so they were finding them, cleaning them. She's like, I was trying to clean up as much as I could. We went ahead and took your appendix out because it had all these adhesions on it.
Wow.
Mm-hmm.
This just goes to show how we have to learn about what we're dealing with. And we have to remember, I think you taught me this, just because I've seen it places now, but you were the first one who taught me that it takes, 10 to 15 years for things to get to mainstream medical.
Oh, yeah.
So scientists and they're out there doing things and finding out things, but that doesn't mean your doctor knows about it, because we're not here to badmouth doctors.
Right.
But they know what they know, and they know what they're being trained about. They're not trained on reading. And I was going to ask, have you had your hormones checked? And I'm guessing you haven't. Do you know what tests to have? Do you personally know what tests to have?
No. I mean, I've had get my most recent lab work. I've had like just the basics.
Okay.
Like,
so what'll happen with that is that, and so you women that are listening, so you can hear, what'll happen with that is your doctor will tell you that we've checked your hormones, everything is fine. And they've only checked certain things. They have not done a full panel. They don't normally do that. And to be honest, they're not trained to read it. That's not what they're taught. Remember, this is a woman's thing, because men don't cycle. They don't have the complexity that we have. They're not trained on that. So when you say, know that when you say, oh no, everything's fine, I've had my hormones checked. So you need to find out from a doctor, get as much as you can from your medical doctor. Some of them won't even hear of this. They're like, you don't need all that checked.
Mm-hmm.
Don't believe that. And then, especially if you have symptoms, just getting stuff checked to be getting it checked, we'll know. Right. If you have symptoms, you need to honor that. Your body is telling you, and you're trying to take care of your gut. You're trying to do all the things, and you are a mess. You don't feel good. Then you need to get help elsewhere. And that's where you need to look out. You need to talk to other people. In my the 5-day series that I'm doing, I'm going to tell you some things that you can do.
We're going to talk about like what testing and all that.
Yep. We're going to talk about who to and who they can go to, just people that I've been involved with while I navigate, because I'm still navigating stuff for myself. And you do need to understand that this is a lifelong thing. You don't get to not do it.
Not one and done. Yeah, exactly. You don't get to pretend like it doesn't exist.
Yep.
Which we're good about that too.
Mm-hmm. Yep. She says, and oh yeah, we've been on here a long time. They don't check all that they should check, and they have no idea what the optimal ranges are and how they don't. Yeah, it's what's normal, and it's normal to be a case when it happens around our cycle and around people. We don't freak out when someone's like, oh, my cramps were so bad. That doesn't freak. We hear that all the time.
Oh yeah. So
that is. Just had my physical today. I had no clue what all is included. Yeah, I have no clue. He did say B12 and vitamin D. We're good. Glad he checked.
Oh, we're good. I think most doctors are catching on to those. That's still kind of minimal.
That's pretty standard.
Pretty standard. Mm-hmm. Lisa said she didn't know about the running over with the car. Yeah, you're gonna have to go back to listen about this. And was on. Then I see my mother-in-law's on. I don't know if she knew that I had actually thought about that, but I wasn't gonna do it. It was just a fleeting moment stop.
Well, but that's also what helped you know that, oh, this is not right.
Oh yeah, I never felt that way towards anyone ever. That level of rage.
Yep.
Of just like, I want to take you out.
Yeah.
off the face of the earth. Like
Yeah.
you don't non-exist, you won't exist anymore.
Yep.
Thank you for interviewing me, showing me that I'm a hot mess. So I'm a lot better now, definitely.
You are. Well, because of what you're doing. And I think that's the part that people have to understand. So when you hear that I need to keep stress under control, that I need to get enough sleep, and I'm listening, and that I need to not eat sugar, all of that has an effect. So those are things that we work on all the time. So not that we were like, oh, we got to figure it out for our hormones. So if you think about it in that broad approach and stop looking for what is this one thing I can do for this,
right.
take care of those things overall, because it's going to help everything. Then you may have to go further, because some of us stuff has come unhinged because we didn't know any better, and we're way along in the journey. So you may need extra help. You may not be able to fix it all yourself.
Right. Very helpful. You guys.
He said, "Should I sleep with one eye open?"
No. You never did anything. See, like what he tried to do was leave me with the baby.
And her brain was like,
and you were trying to help. You came to help me. You've always helped me. So you're good.
I mean, that's what I was going to say, is that you have such a great mom-in-law that it was like, she's always been helpful. So she would never get in that. Her poor son.
No, she wasn't a target. She was not a target. So you guys, definitely, I wasn't in on today's education in the group that Felicia started. So I'm going to go back and look at what you started teaching today. And then
you have some folks that you sent in there though, huh?
Well, yeah. Because they need to learn.
Yeah.
I need to learn. My friend Cindy, she was really, she's in there under Sin.
Yes.
She was really excited about it and looking forward to that. So
we're going to learn together.
Yeah, for sure. I'm really excited. So you guys definitely, again.
We'll put the link in here. And then those of you can tag people in there that you know that, and like I said, and please pay attention. Yeah, we'll get it to you, Lisa. Please pay attention for your BFF and your little girl and all of that, so that it's all about being aware. There ain't no cures or anything in there, but you need to be aware.
Right. That's why if you're looking out for your sisters and your best friends and your cousins, and then that's why Felicia's blowing up already. They're like, "Well, I need some help. Help me." Okay. Thank you, Felicia. So I hope everybody answered those questions for themselves and kind of thought about that. And when you know,
I think that's a good point. And those of you who are catching it just at the end, go back and listen to those. Just answer those questions for yourself. We didn't even talk about all the answers, but I want you thinking. That's the point. We need to learn how to think for ourselves and not just be like, well, my doctor said. People say that all the time, and the next thing that comes out of their mouth is not correct. Right. You can't just think just because it's your doctor, they know everything. We need doctors. We love doctors, but they are just one part. No one knows your body better than you. So
Absolutely. Okay. Thank you, Felicia. Bye. And I will be tuning in. I'm going to get in there and listen and do what I need to do. But yes, I'm doing much, much better from way back then, as far as just learning about how to take better care of myself. But like I said, it's a continual process, and you go through these periods where you slip up and you start slacking.
Yep.
And it shows.
And you just have better reasons. We always have reasons to take care of ourselves, but when we really think about it, it's like, oh yeah, well, I want to make sure people that can't go to the bathroom, I want to make sure I can go, because I got to get rid of dirty estrogen, dirty hormones, that you didn't know. And it's like, oh, so that's what causes sore breasts. Oh, I just thought my breasts were sore because that's what happens to women, so.
Absolutely. Okay. Thank you, Felicia. We will next week. Maybe, I don't know, maybe next week we'll talk about everything we learned, and maybe we'll do like a recap or something. Who knows?
We'll 5 days, yeah.
We'll have finished it.
All right.
Maybe we'll talk about that. We'll see. But anyways, until then, hope you guys have a wonderful rest of your Monday evening. And Felicia and I are peace out.